Hang out, Pokey. Here we go. Ah. And, hello, everybody. I am just getting everything ready for the show. Hello, Haddock. I've actually pulled up all the stuff that I did the first voice edit on yesterday, along with episode 4 so far. Now, I did put out episodes 2 and 3 yesterday on the 2 is on the RSS feed, 3 has gone out to the Patreons. Anyone here who wants a link to download 3, I will post it into the notes, but I figure it's better to wait till the middle of the show when everybody's here, just so that I don't have to post it over and over and over again. And you guys all get previews because you're here participating. Thank you, Pete. Thank you for being here. It really helps. It makes a huge difference. But as you can see, I've got basically 4 short scenes that I can zip through to do the special effects. So we can work on an effects day. One thing I did want to mention, just to follow up on the horror games from yesterday, because we kind of went off on a tangent there, is the one game that we forgot to mention. We briefly mentioned White Day, which is a game from Korea, which is very good. It's really interesting. It gets a little wacky toward the end, but then a lot of games do. Part of that is because every game feels like they have to keep taking it up a notch, and part of it is that a lot of times it feels like games, and even big name games, because Resident Evil 7 felt like this a lot, felt like, about the first half of it they spent a lot of time on, and it's really good, and then they were like rushing to finish the game by the time that the end of their allotted schedule ran out. And a lot of things just feel rushed. It's also common in movies. Everything falls apart in the third act. That's what we call it when a movie is good right up until the end, and then you're like, wait, it falls apart in the third act. So now we've got a couple of scenes with quite a lot of sound effects, beginning with this one. I mean, it doesn't have to, but I like it. So we're going to go collect up sound effects for a bit. Another game that didn't get mentioned, that is another large franchise, is, well, apart from Corpse Party, which is, of course, my favorite, was Fatal Frame. And Fatal Frame is a huge... Well, I mean, it was a huge influence on other games, as well as being a franchise of its own. And among other games, there's a game called... Well, there's a game that is essentially... I won't call it a ripoff, because it uses the same sort of format, but it comes from Thailand or Malaysia. So it's got its own visual aesthetic and its own set of mythology, which it makes it worth playing. Actually, there's Dread Out, and then there's like a Dread Out collection of unrelated scenes, and the collection is even better than the original, than the actual game. So, because there's just they've got some really neat horrific creatures and mythology in there that you don't see every day, so it's worth playing just for that. Anyway, and Fatal Frame's core concept is the idea that you have it's a horror game. You're sort of helpless, but you have a camera. And ghosts or, entities, they're diminished by having their photo taken. So if you can take enough photos of them, they are banished. And that's a really neat thing because it isn't a combat thing quite, but it is. Anyway, okay. For this scene here, I need cooking, tapping at a window, picking up and setting down a pan, a door, and some footsteps and some food. So a lot of it's going to come from the home area here. Home cooking and eating. Let's just say, let's see. Metal serving. Okay, I do want that. I want... Oh, you've played Fatal Frame or Dread Out? Presumably Fatal Frame. It's much more well known, I'm sure. And I was just one of the playthrough teams that I watched. Project Zero. Is that interesting? Yeah, Fatal Frame was from Japan, and then Dread Out is shoot. I keep thinking Thailand, but I'm not sure I'm right. Okay, I need cooking. I want picking up a pan. I want, let's see. Whoa, too much. Too much. A little too much. Those all sound industrial. I'm looking for Annie's cooking something. Too much.
Good evening, cookers. Today.
What? Okay. I could use that, I guess. Well, that was thrilling. Good evening, cookers. Oh my goodness. That's probably a restaurant. Yeah, restaurant. Yeah, I'll stick with the bacon. I need like one more thing, but I don't see it here. Let's see. Okay, crashes. No, I don't need a crash. I need dish noises. Let's see. Bowl, food. Let me take these two. And but yeah, but they make a nice compromise in that between being helpless more or less and having something you can do, you know. They also don't default to the same old, I mean, because you go back to Amnesia, and Amnesia kind of started the new interest in horror games for a long time. About the time I started watching video games on YouTube is when Amnesia was on the wane a little bit. And so I never actually saw the original one. I saw like all the Amnesia mods people were making. And I don't need that. I need a metal. I want one more metal thing. Picking up food prep. Not what I want. I'm not going to worry too much about it. It's a simple. Oh no, I listened to that. But the idea that so many games make stuff, they only look at the idea of, oh, you are helpless, period. And okay, that's a noise I can use. And more thing. I just always have to have one more thing in my sound. But the idea, but Amnesia started out with the idea of you can't do anything, you have to hide or run, and used it effectively because it had an interesting story you had to follow and spooky things that you could escape. But it also has, industrial. No. There we go. But it also had puzzles, and it sort of supplanted the idea of, having agency by violence with having, you got to do these puzzles while being chased, and you can't do anything about the chasing. And once that's one thing, but everybody kind of has followed up on that idea. That you just keep, it's all got to do with the, you gotta have all these puzzles, so you're always doing fuse puzzles and turning off the steam puzzles, and oh my gosh, we have to throw switches in 3 different rooms puzzles, and turn on the this puzzles, and it's just like, and they get old. I mean, even that was the one thing you did in Outlast was, you have to go turn on these 3 things, or you have to find 4 fuses, or you have to find a key, find a key card. All of those are just like so old. Okay, I want a window to open. Oh, tap. Good, that's exactly what I want. And I need a door open and shut. And footsteps. And I should be able to get those from one of my previous files here. Where did I have footsteps? Nope. So you start to get a few too many places where you've got all of your effects set up, and did I have footsteps in there? No, I think I pulled them from somewhere else. I keep pulling them from somewhere else, and then I can't find them again. Maybe they're in the most recent files. Yeah, whatever somebody comes up with, everybody is going to copy if it works. And the problem is that, after a while, it's old. Everything starts out new, and then suddenly you're like, oh, wait, we've seen this a million times. Funny how that happens. Come on, there's gotta be, whoops, wrong one. Doorstep, I had a footstep file, that's the problem. But when I had to turn everything off, I had to, everything just kind of vanished. That's the problem. Unless you have it in a place you can find it, you've only got so many that you can back up through in Audacity. I had some effects here. Might be here. See, that's my own fault for saving it in a weird-ass place. So we're going to save this back into the main effects file, because I started out with an effects file for each of the different episodes, and then I kept keeping them open and using them, and that's just stupid after a while. Okay, so I've got everything I need now for the first scene at least. So the first thing I want to do is open up one of the things that I have in there. In my 4-5 collection. 4-5 just being this scene. And then I'm going to import everything else into this same file so I have it all together. Kind of a quiet night in here, Haddock. What do we want to talk about since there's just the two of us, it looks like? Okay. So, I'm going to start with the bacon as a background noise. And right now I've got the voices more or less where I want them. It's because they're going to be spaced around the effects that I have to change. I might have to change them. Now, as I've said before, with basic effects, here I'm going to copy in the middle of the bacon. I'm not going to take either end and paste it, because this right here, where I've just pasted it in, would be where you would hear a change, but you don't.
Let me in.
Because it's a constant noise, or a fairly constant noise. If you copy from the beginning or the end, you usually have a fading out, and you don't want to have it fade out and back in. That's a pretty standard rookie mistake. It's also going to be volumed way down, and put off to the side. Now, I think I'm going to do this a little different. We're going to be looking at the kitchen from a different angle this time, because this takes place in Annie's Annie's kitchen. And so I'm going to but we're looking at the back door rather than the front door, so I don't want to necessarily position it in the exact same way I have in the past. So I'm going to make the cooking noises over to the right, because when they're in the parlor or around the front door, the kitchen's off to the left. So I'm going to put the main kitchen noises off to the right this time, just so that, I'm going to take this down even more, just so that it's clearly, kind of clearly. I mean, nobody's really paying that much attention, honestly, to what direction things are in. They'll figure it out, or it won't matter. But this way, at least, I've got the satisfaction of knowing I was doing this right. Oh, they are? Okay, well, they're just quiet tonight. That's okay. Everybody has to have their day. I was thinking of going and seeing a horror movie tonight late. I'm trying to decide between... I probably will see Insidious, because it's been out the longest and is most likely to go away sooner. Here and there. There you go. Hey, lurking is always fine. I'm not trying to be all, like, emotionally blackmailing or anything. Let's see. I do want to get a humming in there, but I'm going to have to record that upstairs. I forgot to do that. I still was a little tired yesterday and didn't get any recording done, and I'm feeling very pressured. I mean, it's myself, I'm the only one pressuring me, but I need to get back to doing my voices, because it's just trying to get a consistent sound in the studio and all that can be very, very tiring. This sound is going to be over at the left where the back door is. So, this is the knocking on the window. And I'm going to move that to just before she talks. See, Annie will be humming up till there while she's cooking. Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, my problem is I cannot sleep for the life of me when I try to sleep. And then I'll pass out in my chair for 3 hours, wake up cramped up and awful, and having wasted all my good recording time. And it's so frustrating. I can't sleep in my studio. That's on a stool. I'd fall over. But here in my office chair, I fall asleep, and it's very annoying. Okay, noise. Okay, next noise. I need... that's the putting down. This is the picking up, I believe. Let's see. But yeah, now I was thinking, because I want to see Winchester also. But I want to, let's see. So these can actually move. I want to keep this tight. So this is going to have to move. I want to see Winchester also, but Winchester just opened. So I'm like, if I want to see Insidious in the theater, I probably should do it ASAP. And then put that back down. I might as well just use that same noise. I mean, the putting down of the same thing, even though I have a metal putting down, it's a different sound. I just did give in and subscribed to a service. I'm not a service, but one of the various sound places. It was like $50 for a 3-year subscription to download sound effects and use them, and I'm like, when it's normally $500, and I'm like, oh God, yes, I can't pass that up. Oh, I just have to make sure I use it. How silly of me, because I also just mechanical fruit. Ah ha ha ha. How about a strawberry alarm clock? How many people remember that? Oh, hello. No problem. We've just been gibbering. Yes. There's always the silliness. And then this line. Yeah. There's got to be some time before that line, because this is where, well, I'll just put the sound in and then I'll move it to after the sound. This is where the door and the footsteps come in. Back to here. And that goes here. Well, I'm not going to leave it open that long. Timing is going to be tricky. I mean, I've got so many things going on in here. And so I'm just going to move the voices down a bit automatically, so I have some time. This door is too, oops, no, I don't want a low pass filter. I want volume. Shut quietly. Feet in. Just wait till you see me and put all this stuff together, and then you come and you listen to it, and it's like, whoa, how did that get magically put together when you didn't even listen to any of the things you were putting in? And I go, I'm fabulous. Now this actually doesn't go in this track at all. I'm just putting it here so that I can size it and then move it up into that track above without taking out any of the sound in that track. This is a tricky thing. So I want to fit it between this open door and this closed door. So I've copy it, paste it up, and then get rid of it. Because this track is sounds that are on one side of the soundscape, and that track is sounds that are on the opposite side of the soundscape. So I have that now. Oh, I also need a couple other noises. I need a chair moving. Yeah, back in the day they had fun making up band names. It was like the less logic it had. Well, I mean, if you look at copywriting in general, I mean, trademarking, a trademark is more powerful the less meaning it has. Because when you're trademarking something, you're trying to protect it for the purpose of selling a certain product. And if it describes the product at all, then it has less protection than if it doesn't describe the product at all. Which sounds weird, but there it is. I want to put some of her footsteps here too, but you have to move that a bit. Mainly just that I had already done These were all the ones where I'd put all the voices together yesterday while ranting, and now I'm gonna put sound effects to all of them. So today's gonna be a sound effect day. Another thing is that I do have a link to episode 3. Episode 2 has gone out into the full RSS feed, but episode 3 has only gone out to the Patreon, so I was waiting a bit before I put the link in here so that as many people as possible were here, so I didn't have to keep pasting it in. But there you can go and download episode 3 if y'all want to. So there, because y'all are here to help out with it in some form or other. I mean, at some point or other. I'll take this volume down just a skosh. Okay, I need, yeah, I need a couple more footsteps. I'm just gonna copy these ones. Yeah, I figured you did, but I mean, I was just waiting for as many people as possible here in the chat room all together, so anybody who wanted to could. There's going to be a lot of movement in this scene too, so I'm going to have to, we're going to be going over movement a little bit and going over, let me get into the sound effect files because I need to go back and look for chair noises. I need a chair. And we're in 4.5. Just a scrape and move. That sounds good. Cool. Yeah. I just want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to have it. And I found another picture, one of the other ones I was cleaning up just now. No problem, Yargian. Lurk away. One of the other things that I've, one of the other things, of course, that I'm doing is my, the tin types that I'm cleaning up and putting together for my tin type of the day tweet. And I was cleaning up another one that definitely is another sort of Jane and Annie picture. I like finding, I mean, I could go through and make their faces the same on all of them, and that would be kind of fun. And I probably will at some point, just for the hell of it. But oh yeah, the guy with the mustache. I loved the mustache, man. And I figured I can just keep throwing those out there, and people will eventually. I'll get a lot of subscribers to it. It's just a slow burn. But yeah, the mustache was really good. But I found another Jane and Annie kind of photo that I was really quite pleased with. And I mean, because part of its attitude. I mean, if you look at the cover art for The Teeth Within, you see the attitude I put into that. And I mean, that I picked them, because it's not just two women in dresses, because that's easy. It's got to do with, the attitude that they're displaying as well. And the two in the picture that I picked for the overall cover art is really quite good. Let me log in so I can email myself the new picture. I'm on 400 different computers at once. It's always entertaining. Let's see, what other noise do I need here? Did that. I think I need the canary just because it's got to be in the background somewhere in the house, wherever they are. Even if it's, and, because it's Jane's house, and that's a signifier now that it's Jane's house when we have the canary. Oh, yeah, I am the multitasking queen. And the canary can be kind of off in the background somewhere. I'm not going to worry about it too much, but just so that it's in there. And I'll just leave it there and play with it later. And I need a little bit more of this, and then then we'll see how then we'll start moving things around and seeing how the scene goes. Okay. So here's how the scene goes as it is. Now I'm going to add a little bit. I want to have Annie humming while she cooks right at the beginning, and I keep forgetting to record that. So I will do that. It's partly because I was going to do some musical cues for this. I mean, that I was going to put together and didn't happen. And that was one of the things with putting this show together that held it up for a long time. So.
Locks! Who's there?
Me. Let me in.
Constable Rabbit, eh?
Is his nibs in?
What's got you all lathered? He's here, but he's sleeping.
I have to speak to him.
Sit. Breathe deep. Have a bit of this.
There's no time.
What's that then?
We got a murder, not half a mile away.
Okay, I gotta spread this out a lot. We got a lot to do. Okay, first off, this has to come down. It's still really loud. Okay. And actually, I think I'm gonna high pass filter that as well, just to minimize it a little bit more. Yeah, it's still recognizable. It's just well over there. Okay. A lot of spacing out to be done. Okay. I have the voices way too close together as I'm going here. Just a second. Come on. I'm sitting here surrounded by various computers. It's half the fun. I think this is the right one. You're not even going to show me? I hate you. I've always got so many things. Nope, that's the wrong one. La 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 la. Is it this one? Yes, it's that one. Okay, not this one. And one reason I love tintypes, particularly as a type of photograph for this kind of thing, is the fact that you get more everyday people, and it's more spur of the moment. Other photographs were always taken in studios for the vast majority of the 1800s, but tintypes often were traveling photographers. They'd often be at fairs or, set up temporary booths, and so people might just get it in their head to jump in and get a photo taken, and they wouldn't necessarily be at their best all the time. So, let's just get these moving. And that's why I really, really like them, because you've got, you get people more sort of, candid almost. And a lot of times it was at fairs and things, so they were probably also drunk, which is also entertaining. Let's see. Okay, let's have another canary bit over here somewhere. The canary is going to be somewhere out here, and it's behind a door. So it's really kind of off in the distance. We can just ignore it after that. I might move it around if it's in an annoying place. Okay. I'm going to put some more cooking noises out here. Tap, 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 blah, this. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to create here is Annie is cooking, somebody comes to the window. That's a good start,
Locks! Who's there?
Me. Let me in.
And she snatches up something to use, to hit somebody with if it's not somebody she wants to talk to. Then, oops, wrong one. then when she finds out who it is, it's a constable who she apparently knows. So this is another one of Gerald's contacts who has showed up to, to get his help or something like that.
Let me in.
And she sets down what she picked up, makes a comment about him while she's opening the door. Opens the door. He comes in and asks about Gerald. She says he's asleep. You sit down.
What's got you all lathered? He's here, but he's sleeping.
I have to speak to him.
Sit.
Okay. So she tells him to sit. She pulls out a chair. He's gonna sit. She's gonna give him some food. I mean, this is the type of, I mean, Annie is basically Sam Gamgee, if you haven't noticed. In many ways, she's Sam Gamgee. Just it's all do that. Tell me what to do. Here's some food.
Looks! Who's there?
Me. Let me in.
Constable Rabbit, eh?
Is his nibs in?
What's got you all lathered? He's here, but he's sleeping.
I have to speak to him.
Sit. Breathe deep. Have a bit of this.
There's no time.
What is that then?
We got a murder not half a mile away.
Okay, a little bit more spacing here. It's getting closer. So the more complicated a scene is, the often, it takes a little bit of experimentation to get it all in the right place, because you want the timing to be good, but you want to make sure everything's clear, and you don't want to just...
There's no time.
What is that then?
We got a murder.
You don't want to have stuff rushed. You want to make sure the scene actually flows. I mean, otherwise you might as well just have, a newscaster pop up and go, and so they left and went to the, or something. Now, while the door is open here, I'm going to also have outside noises, but we need to have some movement at this point. Let me open up the outside noises while I'm here. I know they're in here, aren't they? Nope, that's the crowd. Doorstep? No. I should have this all down by now. There we are, 19th century England. This is why what I need to do is get more organized and make myself just a background file of all of this. And I haven't, because, been doing it kind of fragmentary. Maybe next time I'll begin that way, so it's a little bit more, this is, you'll learn a little bit more organization. I know that's more than enough of it to fill this space. So, yep, I'm going to cut it out right at this door shutting and bring it in right at the door opening. So this first part is just going to get blanked. And so that when...
Is his nibs in?
What's got you all lathered?
Now, technically what I really should do, of course, is bring... Because as I've done before with the nighttime one, when Gerald came in last night, we know that the house isn't soundproofed, which is duh. I mean, even nowadays houses aren't soundproofed. But that just means, I'm going to put the sound out here to 90. I'm going to take this down another 10. Actually, first I'm going to low pass filter it. And that's a pretty heavy low pass filter. And then take it down another 5. I'm not putting the background noise in all the time like that. I mean, for the most part, houses are quiet. But, you know, whenever the door is going to open, it's less jarringly different if the noise is already there. It's just like way, way down, if that makes sense. Okay, so now that I've got all the sounds and they're roughly in the right place, I'm going to make a new file because I'm going to start mixing things and I don't want to screw it up. So we're going to go edited and moving. I mean, I could just name it file 3 or something, but it's easier to remember when I actually write what it is. So now we'll start. I've got Annie's noises. And these are Annie's noises. And in fact, these are Annie's noises. Even though I put them in the constable's track. And let's see, I don't need to keep the town. Okay. And so she's going to move around rather a lot. And I should put something in as humming. I wonder what I've got, if I've got anything for humming. I don't want to record it like live because I hate to say the recording sound in here is not going to be that great. Just because, if nothing else, because I've got a bajillion computers flying at the same time. Here's the other one that I thought of as being, yeah, that's another picture of can we zoom in at all? What a piece of shit picture viewer. Anyway, that definitely has the attitude of the right attitude for Jane and Annie. Again, you know, I picture Annie as the sort of the bigger, you know, tough, the tough, stupid looking one, and Jane's prettier. Not that that lady is stupid looking, but that's kind of, I mean, Annie is kind of the stubborn, I should say, looking one. Okay, anyway, enough of that. Let's move this up. I prefer when moving things, you know, yeah, it's going to come out sometime next week in the feed, of course, because I've already done the crazy cleaning. The reason I do the partial, you know, just only show part of the cleaning is because that way it's obviously my picture. If anybody if anybody tries to reprint it somewhere, to undo that much difference between the two parts would be weird. But no, I get them on eBay, and tintypes are particularly lacking in background data because at least with most photographs you get the photographer's mark somewhere on them. With most of the cabinet cards and carte de visites, you get most of them, not all of them, but say 87% of them, you get at least a photographer's mark, which at least tells you the city that it came from, you know. And with tintypes you don't get anything. You get like maybe 10% at most have even a paper wrapper that might have some indication of something, but no. As I was just saying, to move these up, I highlighted them and copied them rather than using this tool to move them, because I had them placed where I wanted them, and when you shift them, you can easily get them out of place where you wanted them, and by copying them, I moved them to exactly the same place. I just wanted them in one long track here. Anyway, tiny detail, but slightly important. Oh, I was looking at humming, wasn't I? Just to see what I've got. Hum, 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 hum. Would be a people noise. Humming is actually really hard can be, I should say, really hard to record. Whistle? No, thank you. Humming can be hard because it's more than anything else, it's a closed mouth noise, so you don't have any sound coming out. When you hum at karaoke, a friend of mine pointed out to me that the best way to do it is to put the microphone up to your nose, because the resonance of the humming is coming through your nose rather than through your mouth, because you usually hum with your mouth closed. So there's a tip. And whistling, of course, is all air. So if you're whistling, you have to hold the mic to the side and whistle past it. Because if you whistle into the mic, that's just one big, you know. Okay, well, I'm not going to worry about it right now. I can put it in later. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to mix Annie. I'm going to keep a copy of this track because there's enough going on here and enough places where she moves at least a little bit that I might lose track of it if I don't keep a copy. I'll delete it as soon as I get all her movement done, but things she does sometimes could be, I could forget where they've mixed in otherwise. First things first, I'm going to duplicate. Now, she's to the, wait, Bacon is to the right, right? Yeah, she's to the right. Not all the way, just partly to the right. To begin with, cooking. As she does this, then you know, blah blah blah. Actually, I don't like this noise here. I'm just gonna blank it. She hears the knock, is surprised, picks something up, and then moves to the left here. So I'm going to blank that. She moves to the left. Blank that. Okay. And probably to just pass center for the moment. I mean, I don't have to make everything perfect so that everybody connects up and that there's exact number of steps to cross the room. I mean, the idea is just to create the sound so that the ear can follow it. It's all an illusion, really. And then actually, I can pull her to here, because then she's going to move again and go further left here as she mutters about the constable. Wait, no. Got those in the wrong place. My bad. That goes away. That's duplicated. I can get ahead of myself sometimes, and sometimes I can get behind myself. And sometimes I just can't remember what I was doing. That's when you remember that undo is your friend. Okay, so she's moving further left here to open the door. The door gets opened in his track. And he comes in. Then I should have some more footsteps in here somewhere for her to move back toward the center at least. She's not gonna go, well, yeah, I'll get rid of that. I think I might just throw a couple of footsteps in here. They're not going to be here. I'm just trying to line them up and trying to fit them in if I can between lines here. If I do that, not quite. Let's see. Let's make that a little bigger to work with and take it in just a skosh. Now I should be able to fit it between the words. Stop that. See, now it fits. Now I can paste it and then get rid of it. lining things up and pasting like that, it helps when you've already got everything timed out the way you want it. It doesn't have to be in you don't have to worry about where it is right to left. You're just trying to line it up this way. It'll end up pasted into the right to left or whatever of whatever track it goes into. And in this case, since she's coming back to center, I can just blank that, fade the center one here back in. You know, I could make it a new track if it was more convenient and easier to keep track of, but I can also bring her back to this center track. Get back, Santa track. No. And now that I've completely confused everybody, let's bring the constable down here too. So we get his track will come down, and this track will come down, and this track will come down. And I'm going to mix all those. Oh, wait, no, this is her. Get rid of that. We've already used that sound. Have we already done the door? Yeah, we have done the door. Okay, so those were all actually in her track. I hope so. And, okay, yeah, no problem. I mean, hey, you know, whatever works. And I just hope you're, you know, as long as you can, you know, as long as you're being entertained, I am totally cool with whatever works. Uh-oh, I forgot. I made it into a stereo track because I left this one over to the left. Gotta make it center. Then merge it. That way I can move all the sounds together. Now, he does start out well off to the left. Not 90, we'll put him at 80 for this window. And this first remark is coming from outside, so I'm going to low pass filter it. Let's see how it sounds when I do that.
Lee, let me
in. Yeah, that'll be fine. Then she...
Constable Rabbit, eh?
Okay, so the door opens here. So this actually is a point where... Yeah, where he's going to start moving. Oh, well, that helps a lot. Yeah, when you got some visual on it, that helps, I'm sure. And so he's moving, well, actually, he moves a little bit.
His nibs in.
He moves all the way through here, so I'm going to fade this out through his line. And bring it in here. And here's where he's moving more or less to center. And then he's going to... We don't really have the feet for him to move again, I think.
Speak to him.
Sit. Breathe deep.
There's a little too much noise, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and bring this part over to where she's got the chair. So it's just going to swing just past center for him to sit. Okay, so let's see how this goes. We shall listen to the fabulousness.
Locks! Who's there?
Lee, let me in.
Constable Rabbit, eh?
Is his nibs in?
What's got you all lathered? He's here, but he's sleeping.
I have to speak to him.
Sit. Breathe deep. Have a bit of this.
There's no time.
What's that then?
We got a murder not half a mile away.
I mean, I could even slow it down a little bit more, just space out everything just a skosh and make it even more, you know, more realistic. Because I mean, this is happening pretty fast. But I kind of like it as it is. Let's see. Maybe just a bit here. That's a tricky one. I could do it. When you do have things moved and you want to space things out, you know, rather than going back a step and doing it again, you just have to look to make sure that you move everything the same amount. And here, right here between these two lines of hers, I can paste that, but then I have to paste it into this track as well to make sure it moves down as well. So then we got...
What's got you all lathered? He's here, but he's sleeping.
I have to speak to him.
Sit. Breathe deep. Have a bit of this.
There's no time.
What's...
And then I can also add a little bit here. Let's just go with the same amount. I have to put it here as well. Oops. Did I just do that? No, okay. Paste. Paste. And then somewhere in here, because I don't want to do it while she's moving, because those have to match up. I want to do it after she's stopped here.
Have a bit of this. Breathe deep. Have a bit of this.
That's not a good place. And I might then take a little bit of it away.
He's here, but he's sleeping.
I have to speak to him.
Sit.
Let's see how that works.
He's here, but he's sleeping.
I have to speak to him.
Sit. Breathe deep. Have a bit of this.
There's no time.
What's that then?
We got a murder not half a mile away.
There. Now I got a little bit more time in there, you know. But yeah, it's always, that's why it's always best to get, oh, and here's all our background sounds that I can just get rid of. It's always best to get your timing first, then start laying in your special effects, because otherwise, once you're at this point and you're realizing that you're a little tight on timing, it's a lot more tricky to push it out than it is any other time. But it's not impossible always, you know, and you can always back up a step and remix stuff. And undo is your friend.
I have to speak to him.
Sit. Breathe deep. Have a bit of this.
The outside noise is still a little more obtrusive than I want. I'm going to run the low pass filter on it again and see if I can get it down to a definite rumble. Yeah, there we go. I mean, it's there.
Who's there?
Me. Let me in.
Constable Rabbit, eh?
Is his nibs in?
What's got you all lathered? He's here, but he's sleeping.
I have to speak to him.
Sit. Breathe deep. Have a bit of this.
There's no time.
What's that then?
We got a murder not half a mile away.
There we go. Yeah. I've half a mind to have a romance between Annie and the constable, but I've not got there yet. So, at least that's one more down, and I'll cut off this at the bacon here. And on to the next scene. We'll do one more scene and before I decide to try to wrap up for the night, since we got a little late start, or I did anyway. So, we're going to take that and then unmix it and then come over here to our master track. And yeah, let's see how this sounds. Actually, we haven't really gone through and mixed the tea scene in from last time. We just put it in. Let's see how this mixes in as well. I want to pull that over just a bit. Pull this over. And I want to leave this out because I am going to put in some humming or something at the beginning. It just helps flesh out the scene. And there we go. Let's do some fading out. Oh, I totally forgot to put room tone on them. I guess I was hearing them as being so perfect that it didn't need it. But I'm going to go back and do it. When I do the humming, I'll worry about it then. Making a note. Let's listen to this bit. My head.
Close your eyes. Try not to see anything but your own insides.
All right. Oh. Oh. What the devil are you doing?
And once again, I talked about moving the tea scene with Hermione from here to the end of the episode because it's out of time.
I'm so pleased you were able to come to tea, Hermione.
It's so kind of you to have me, Frederica. I trust Henry and Aster are well.
Perfect little angels. Growing so fast. More sugar?
Thank you, but I fear I should refrain.
Are you still concerned?
About?
My dear, it is only the two of us. You spoke so frankly before. Pray keep me in your confidence. If you need to speak, speak.
I feel very foolish.
It is always difficult. The first time it occurs.
First?
Men stray. It's in their nature to be inconstant.
And yet they call us the movable ones.
Only while they're endeavouring to move us.
But I discovered my fears were unfounded. The expenses were...
Yes?
for the care of an elderly nanny.
That is very kind of him. But surely she would be better served if he settled a lump sum on her.
I would never ask, but she is quite incapable. And I doubt that anyone asked to safeguard money for such a one would be kind.
Ah, all is well, then. I had some notion to inform you of a service you might wish to look into, should you ever find yourself concerned again.
Locks! Who's there?
Me. Let me in.
Constable Rabbit, eh?
Is his nibs in?
What's got you all lathered? He's here, but he's sleeping.
I have to speak to him.
Sit. Breathe deep. Have a bit of this.
There's no time.
What's that then?
We got a murder not half a mile away.
There we go. Now, I mean, again, like I said, the murder and the scene with Gerald beforehand happens late at night after he's been off to the Clockwork agency, and the scene afterwards is like first thing in the morning when the police are investigating. So yeah, the tea is really out of order there. I do have a scene I can swap it with. I just have to get to it. In fact, let's do that scene now because it's one of the ones that we're kind of ready to do. We'll go right up to this one with Astrid and the Professor. I'm going to, since this is in the Clockwork Museum and everything, I'm going to go steal the clockwork sounds from an earlier episode. Episode 2 here. No. That wasn't episode 2. This is episode 2. I have too many things. We're going to use the backstage sound because it was a nice muffled clockwork mix. Is it this one? Yeah, I can take that. And that just gives me what I need for a background track for this. And need to bring the Professor up a bit here, at least through most of it. And I don't know. I don't think there's much else in the way of sound effects in this scene. Oh, I was looking at the script. Durr. Okay, script. There it is. Oh, I do need a clock in the middle of it and footsteps. So there's not really much in the way of sound effects for this, which is fine. It's a simple scene. Let's just pop it into the same thing here. I'm going to go to effects. I'm going to go to, it's not under home, it's under machines. There's so many things where it could be any number of things. I just have to remember where I put it. It's like, oh, is a clock a home noise or a machine noise? I need more of a chime than that. How about this one? Yeah, let's take that one. Just enough. Not enough to be too annoying. And I could put a cuckoo clock. Too much of a social commentary. Cuckoo. Okay. And come back over here to my effects files and open up my carriage clock. Now, the one trick with this, first off, I'm going to make it single, is that I do need to be able to see and line up the ticks to make it, because I need to have some ticking before the alarm. The way the scene goes, it comes about halfway through. And I have to have it continue throughout the whole scene. You can't have the clock just suddenly start going in the middle of the scene and then go on from there. That's generally silly. And you have to wait till after the ring ends, more or less, to be able to pull clock noises. Because if you're using it where because that's the problem with a track like this, is the bell, the ring continues quite a ways. This is about the very first moment I can conceivably pretend it isn't there. So, and then I have to line it up because it is so tiny. I'm gonna bring everything up by 2. Actually, let's see how far I can volume this one up. I can bring everything up by 15. I just have to remember to bring it back down by 15. Or 16. Even that doesn't really help. What the heck? It gets weird looking. I can't work with that. Okay, that doesn't help at all. Just gonna have to be real careful with my ear about this one. I haven't faded the chime. I mean, I would. I can't because it's in the same track with the ticks. So if I fade the chime, the ticks will fade with it for however long I fade it. And but that's why this is a very tricky kind of track to work with. Because I need to make sure I've got enough time before the ticks to stop it, to fill the scene. I mean, before the alarm, and then before the chimes, and then I have to make sure I've got enough ticking afterwards. Now, there is one presumably easier answer to this, because I think I dealt with this in the past. Hold on. Let's go back to the effects. Back to the machines. Back to the clocks. This is the carriage clock. Carriage clock and chimes that I mixed. Now, sometime in the past, I mixed myself a track of the carriage clock. Now, it does have some amount of the chimes that repeat in it, which is a mistake, really. But I might be able to take those out or just ignore them. And then it ends with the... So let's use this one instead, because it's gonna... I've already mixed it. Problematic as it may be, at least it's already all in one piece. Close this. No, put this here. Okay, so... And while this is a background track of the clockworks in the background, the clock is more in the foreground, and I want to make it distinctly separate. One thing that's going to separate it is that the clockworks are very clearly, they've been low-pass filtered, so they're well out of the scene. And I'm going to save this as... So I should be able to, at least in theory, bring, let's see, where's the clock comes in about here. So I have to delete. I can't just paste it at the end because the clock still continues under the chimes, or should, and I've got to make sure it lines up with the previous clock. And that's always the problem with anything clock related, is you can't just repeat it like you do, I mean, just cut and paste indiscriminately like background noise. You have to make sure that clocks line up. And so, can I do two? Yeah, because I have it off. Okay. Let's see here. And of course, it's not going to be easy, because you can't really quite see it. Let's see. I have to get creative with this one, I guess. I guess I'm going to have to pull this back and see if I can make it line up with the clock beforehand, since I can't see the ticks on the clock afterhand. Okay. And it's got to be the right way, because it is offset. It's tick, 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 you know, so it's, if I get it the wrong way, they'll be going the wrong way. Let's see. That's close enough. Close enough for government work. Now, the trick is I'm going to blank out this part, let it take over under here. Oh, night-night. I'm going to fade out a little bit in just a minute. I mean, I'm going to end this up in just a minute. I am going to fade this clock in under the chime. And I'm going to have to fade out this for sure. Okay, well, that sounds just about perfect, or as close as it's going to get. I'm going to blend those two so I can't mess it up. Oops. Well, I'm just going to make it a single track. Just going to make it a single track and move it back over here. There. Now, The only other sound effect in here is some footsteps. So I'll go grab some footsteps and put them at the ends. The two characters, I'll just pop them on too. Slightly left, slightly right. The footsteps are his, so I'm just going to paste them like that. And let's hear how this sounds.
Did yesterday go well?
The take was quite satisfactory, Father. At this rate, it is not inconceivable that we shall very soon be able to afford permanent accommodations for the exhibit.
Splendid, splendid. My dear, I don't know what I would do without you.
Never worry that I would leave you.
Ah, but unfortunately I must leave you. At least for a short while. It is time to start the winding.
And I know how you prefer to be present for that.
I shall return shortly.
Now, timing. I don't know why he left such a long gap there. I'm going to take that in. That actually sets the chime at a better place, too. And the kiss on the cheek doesn't come off, so I'm not going to worry about it. It's not that big a deal. And then I can pull his footsteps in here. I'm going to take the background clockworks down more. Oh, everybody, anybody. I can't keep track. I'm sorry, I get so fixated on what I'm working on. Oh, and I think I'm gonna just real quick stop it. Take her down just a little bit and bring him up just a little bit. Okay. Evens them out a little bit more.
Did yesterday go well?
The take was quite satisfactory, Father. At this rate, it is not inconceivable that we shall very soon be able to afford permanent accommodations for the exhibit.
Splendid, splendid. My dear, I don't know what I would do without you.
Never worry that I would leave you.
Ah, but unfortunately I must leave you. At least for a short while. It is time to start the winding.
And I know how you prefer to be present for that.
I shall return shortly.
So, pretty simple. I think even a little bit lower for this, and maybe pull this a little bit farther off center. Otherwise, it sounds pretty good. I mean, it's a super simple scene, obviously. There's not really very much to it. But this one I could move up and intersperse in between, night-night, intersperse where the tea scene is, just to break up the nighttime, and then have the tea scene back at toward the end of the episode where this one was originally going to go. And I'm going to go ahead and put Room Machine on him, even though with all the background sound you can't really hear much of it. It's still going to help. And we're going to go back to normal with this. So just, slightly...
Yeah. I don't know what I would do without you.
Never worry that I would leave you.
Ah, but unfortunately I must leave you. At least for a short while. It is time to start the winding.
And I know how you prefer to be present for that.
I shall return shortly.
Okay. A little bit of just that icing on the cake, and then save, mix, copy, unmix, close, and go back over here. And then, as I said, I'm going to put it in place of tea. Now, it's a really short scene by comparison. We just need something to bridge between nighttime here and daytime here, and this one will work. It's not as much of a break, But just scoot that one whoosh off out the way. Bring this one in. And, I mean, because when I realized that the tea scene was really misplaced, I was going through the script going, there's got to be something else I can put there. And that does work. So, it'll be interesting, and no one will know but us that I've made this substitution. One thing you might notice if you listen to episode 3 is I did go back and shaded in the music and in and out the harem music from the scenes rather than with separate tracks. It's a little anal of me, but I couldn't help it. So now, just to listen to this transitions,
What
we
the
have.
devil are you doing?
Did yesterday go well?
The take was quite satisfactory, Father. At this rate, it is not inconceivable that we shall very soon be able to afford permanent accommodations for the exhibit.
Splendid, splendid. My dear, I don't know what I would do without you.
Never worry that I would leave you.
But unfortunately I must leave you. At least for a short while. It is time to start the winding.
And I know how you prefer to be present for that.
I shall return shortly.
I want to hear a little bit more of his footsteps before the music cuts in. I forgot. Excuse me.
Be present for that.
I shall return shortly.
Lox! Who's there?
Me. Let me in.
Constable Rabbit, eh?
Is his nibs in?
What's got you all lathered? He's here, but he's sleeping.
I have to speak to him.
Sit. Breathe deep. Have a bit of this.
There's no time.
What's that then?
We got a murder not half a mile away.
Well, that is a good segue out of this scene, because a murder is exciting, and that's a sort of exciting segue out. Anyway, so there we've got that. I'm going to delete this note and then move this one. Well, that's brilliant. There we go. Just to keep track of everything. And I think we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you for coming. We'll go on with the next couple of scenes, which already do have the voices edited, so we're ahead of that game still. Tomorrow. And I'm going to put some of these things, like I'm going to put the background outdoors track into the footsteps file here. The footsteps file. And let's close some of these extra windows. But I'll keep some of these open. This is why it's always... I do tend to keep a bunch of screens open at any time so that I can get back to them. And then wonder why when I shut down the computer I get confused. It's because I don't know where any of them are sourcing out of. Because I've had them open so long that they're just there. But we do have stuff ready to go for tomorrow. Anyway, so I will see everybody tomorrow at 6. I am still thinking I might go see Insidious at like 11 o'clock tonight. Before it goes away from the theaters, because it's been out long enough it might. Anyway, have a good one. And...